Hey guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. Tonight, we got Arch Manning in Texas. We got Jalen Milroe in Alabama. We got Georgia struggles. And what's up with this officiating in college football?
Can I please have your attention?
There's all a commotion around here.
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.
Hey guys, welcome back. It is Brad with College SportsCast. This is the Big Fuss Show. Appreciate you guys checking in with us. And I've got John Hammonds on with me at the time being. What's up, Hammonds?
What's up, man?
We are here to do the Big Fuss. Might have Jason joining us here in just a few minutes. But I will start with, if you are on Facebook, you can help support us by sending stars, or you can subscribe to our channel, our Facebook page, for 99 cents a month. Either one will help us earn money to keep making content for you guys. So we will start with that. Appreciate you guys being with us. Big week in week 3. There was, a few big games there that went on. And we are going to start with, let me get the hot topics tab down there, but we're going to start with Texas, John. Texas, Quinn Ewers basically went down early, first or second quarter, kind of early in the game. And for the first time in a significant manner, we got to see Arch Manning take the field. And, of course, it wasn't a great opponent, but he looked pretty good last week.
He did. If there's anything we've learned since Ewers left the game, it's that Texas should have a lot of confidence in its backup quarter position. And Ewers is most likely going to be gone next year. And to have that, ability to look at the backup and say, hey, he can come in here and do what he needs to do. And that's what Arch Manning did Saturday. He's everything I thought he would be, especially where he was ranked coming out of high school. So it's not really going to change, but if a guy like Quentin Ewers goes down, you got that guy in Arch Manning that can just come into the quarterback position, just take over and not miss a beat. And it was nice to see what he did Saturday. Granted, it was UTSA, but it was still an impressive performance.
So, welcome in. Hello, Jerry and Clyde. We appreciate you being here with us. But to continue kind of talking about Arch, the one thing I want to get to is, man, Arch has got some wheels. If I grew up watching Peyton and Eli, they were slow as molasses running the ball. And Arch has got some wheels. Where does that come from?
Buddy, I have no idea. He must have took that after his own blood, because that's nowhere near Eli and Peyton and that crew, man.
Does Cooper have some does Cooper Peyton always said Cooper was the best one of the bunch, and I never really believed him, but now I'm starting to think, well, maybe he's right.
Cooper might have some big time genes, if we're being honest.
The daddy was pretty good, and he had some wheels. He could move back in his day, but I'm not sure he had Arch Manning's wheels. Arch, I seen he ran 20.77 miles per hour on that scoot, 67-yard scoot to the end zone. And UTSA, while is a group of 5 school, they've had some success over the last 4 or 5 years. Was 9-4 last year. So, they're not a slouch team. It's not like, they're a team that is just pitiful. So, they handled their business against them really well, covered the spread 56-7. Now, to get to Quinn Ewers, to get back to him, this week so far, they've come out that he has a abdominal strain, and he will likely miss this next game.
So they're probably going to have another easy week this week, in terms of winning.
Yeah, they're playing Louisiana Monroe. That's an even lower school than UTSA, if you ask me.
Yeah, I don't think they should have really any problems there.
Guys, we might see the first start of Arch Manning's career this weekend.
Should be exciting.
It should be. I mean, he was 9 of 12, 223 yards, had 3 TDs, ran for a 67-yard touchdown himself. So, I mean, he looked really, really good in his significant debut. He's taken the field before, but not with that much time on the clock and run the team and everything else. None of Texas QBs are a match for Zion Childers. Okay. We play them later in the year. You do realize that, Coleman, right?
Better put your money where your mouth is.
I'm just saying, yeah, I would hold off on that for a little while just yet if I was you. Hey, looky here, before we move on to the next one. We've got Jason Harrison in with us tonight.
Hey,
what's up, Jason?
Man, what's going on, guys? What's going on?
Hey, man, it's good to see you. We missed you last week, man.
Man, yeah, man. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to be honest. Man, I got caught up in watching that debate. It was like, man, what time is it?
Yeah, we were on during the debate. We was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We was.
Yeah. Hey, it looks like I came on a good topic. I'm looking at
Yeah, we were just finishing up the Ewers and Texas and Manning and how good he looked, and that he will probably be the likely starter this coming week.
Man, faster than his uncles. He runs like Cooper does. Cooper and Arch and Archie Manning.
Yeah.
He's still young. You know, he looked good against lesser
UTSA.
competition.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I think he has an SEC test coming up next week. I don't know who they play, but I think he has an SEC
No, they
test,
play
right?
Louisiana Monroe this coming week.
So he has another one. Okay.
Yeah, then they play Mississippi State, I believe, at home.
Well, one thing I can say, and you guys have probably already said it, Texas is pretty damn good. Has a lot of talent, so he doesn't have to do a lot. He just got to get it.
Yeah, but when
people.
you got a backup that can come in like Arch, not only are you a good team, like most of the time, a team has even if you're a good team, you have a little bit of a drop off in the backup.
Yeah,
Texas didn't look like they missed a beat.
No, they're a well-built machine, man, and you know.
And
I can't wait to the SEC start.
And that's not even talking about their defense. Their defense is really good too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're pretty legit on both sides of the ball.
All right, but we are going to move on to the next topic. We've got several topics to get to tonight, and we've got our new segment coming on here at the top of the hour with Ace in the Hole with our Lady Luck, Mindy. You can't miss that at the top of the hour. But our next topic, guys, Jalen Milroe and Alabama and the debut of DeBoer 3 weeks in don't look too shabby. I mean, they look pretty good. I thought Jalen played really well last week. He had 3 TDs through the air, also had 75 yards rushing and 2 TDs on the ground as well. Jalen did. So let's talk about how Jalen's leading the Tide.
He's just doing, to me, he's just doing an unbelievable job. You know, they got the freshman wide receiver, Ryan Williams. I think he caught 4 balls Saturday for.
I got a question for you about Ryan Williams. Is he the one that went back and forth to Auburn like 3 or 4 times?
I believe that's the same one.
Isn't he the one that like committed to Alabama and then went to Auburn, then went back to Alabama, then went back to Auburn, then went back to Alabama?
I believe he was. And you know what's really interesting about this kid is he should be a senior in high school.
Yeah, he's only 17.
He's 17 years old, and he's out there making plays for Alabama. Like, come on now, like that's unheard of around here. And you know, they just went into Wisconsin and they just put the hammer down. And many thought that Alabama was going to miss a beat. You know, many thought Florida State was going to be the team to watch this year. And Alabama was going to team that kind of took a step back. And this is where I bring this in, is Alabama looks like the team that is the best out of these groups. And now you got FSU, which is at 0-3, might be talking about a coaching change if they lose to California this weekend.
We'll get to all that.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying.
I've got the topics. We'll get to all that.
I'm just saying for two of these schools, it was supposed to be going in different directions, but it's actually the opposite. Alabama is doing their thing, and FSU looks completely different. And to me,
there's a couple of other schools. Michigan's another school that looks different. Yeah.
But Alabama, what they're doing, I mean, you know, I know they had issues last week against South Florida, which they had some penalties. They had they got behind the sticks quite a bit. We're going to find out where Bama stands next weekend. Mighty, mighty, mighty Georgia Bulldogs come to town.
Man, I just think that, like I said before, guys, man, Alabama is still Alabama. You know, they might not have the big name coach anymore with Nick Saban, you know, who was kind of looked at kind of almost like Bear Bryant was. You know, he was one of these forefathers that helped change.
DeBoer's doing really well, though. To start out with, I think. I mean,
but like I said,
shoes.
But you're still gonna go to Alabama. Guys are still going because they have a standard, kind of like Kentucky. Like I said,
kind of like Kentucky
guys, they still will get guys. He just has to coach them. He just had to do a good job of putting in his schemes from the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side. And you got to get some dudes. Alabama still has some dudes left that didn't transfer out and was just waiting their turn.
I think the only issue down the road that we might see with Bama offensively, and I said this before the season started, Alabama on offense will not miss a beat, not with DeBoer and Jalen and Ryan Williams. And I mean, they will not miss a beat on offense. The one thing DeBoer does is run a hell of an offense, usually a top 5 offense in the country, to be quite honest. Now, having said that, the one thing that I do have concern with when it comes to Bama down the road, I do think there is a slight drop off on defense. And I only say that because defensively, if you look over the last 3 or 4 years, Alabama has had a slew of NFL players drafted. I'm not sure you can look at this Alabama defense and say there's 3 or 4 or 5 players that's going to get drafted. Not in the first few weeks.
I kind of disagree with that, Brad.
I think they got some edge rushers. The Overton kid, I think he's really good. There's another guy in the secondary. I can't think of his name, but he's really good.
They got some offensive linemen, some D tackles. They got some linebackers. That's what you got to understand. Their front 7 is still not bad. You see what I'm saying? To go up there and handle Wisconsin like that, a team that who's going to run the ball. Wisconsin had a tough time moving the ball.
Let's be fair to Wisconsin, though. And this is no slight to Tyler Van Dyke, but Tyler Van Dyke is not that great of a quarterback.
And he's not. And we'll get
team like to run the ball. Team like to run the ball. You are who you are. You have an identity. Wisconsin has always had great running backs and a great offensive line. They've always been huge from the time when I was in college until now.
What really surprised me.
I have a Wisconsin topic a little later on in the show, but I agree with you guys.
What really shocked me was the fact that literally, I think it was midway through the third quarter, that stadium emptied like a bunch of sinking rats off a ship, man.
Well, I mean, that's kind of normal. I mean, people talk about the stadiums like people not staying, but when you get beat bad, people leave. People don't stick around for that. I mean, that's just normal, I think.
That's normal. And I'll say this about Jalen Milroe. I think, well, like you said, when they play against Georgia, you're gonna really see how good he is going through his progressions. Right now, he hitting a lot of deep balls. He hitting a lot of deep ball. When he has to make the right reads, dump it, hit, and move, win the run, we're gonna see right now if Alabama's ready to take that next step, or they're just playing second fiddle to Texas and Georgia right now, and Ole Miss. You know, I know we ain't gonna talk about Ole Miss. You know, but I just do that. Anyway.
They didn't actually play good Saturday, if we're being honest.
I mean,
I know they won 40-6, but they didn't actually play great.
We're gonna get to them. We'll get to them. All right. But our next topic, guys, is Georgia struggles at Kentucky. And this seems like it's a common theme over the Kirby era, honestly, for Georgia when they come to Lexington. They seem like they struggle to score. This is pretty much a common theme. 2 years ago, it was a 16-6 game. 4 years ago, it was 14-3 game. And, you know, Saturday was 13-12, and they just barely pulled out a win with a late TD in the fourth quarter. Do we make – is there a lot to make of this, or do you think it's just early season struggles and Georgia gets on track?
I think it's early season struggles. You know, to me, I really don't think no one was ever in real danger this weekend. Georgia does this pretty much every year. You know, they had the game against Missouri last year, the Kentucky game this year, which was an ugly game. If you like defense and you like trench play, this was the game for you. I think it dates back to last year against South Carolina. They was down 14-3 at the half. They was down 22-12 to Missouri in the fourth quarter. You know, they had the ugly game against Clemson in 2021. It's just what Georgia does, Brad. The Bulldogs are so good that it hardly warrants them to fall out of the bed and just say, well, we're going to lose this game, because they make plays when it matters. You look at, you know, late in the third, fourth quarter, you know, Kentucky was gaining 3 to 4 yards at a time. And Kentucky just went away from everything that they was doing and tried to do some trick plays, some throws. And I thought, you need to run the ball when you're making these decisive decisions. And, you know,
I mean, you're talking about the late drives.
The late drives,
where time was kind of getting thin, and more times than not, coaches are going to go to the air because time is kind of running out.
But that's the issue. They was not doing anything through the air. They was getting more on the ground. The offensive line was actually run blocking.
Yes, but you also have to consider the time on the clock as well, is what I'm saying.
Well, and I get that. I get that part of it too.
Yeah. All right, Jason, what do you think of the Georgia struggles? Do you think that they should have been jumped by Texas? Do you think that Georgia should be knocked down a notch? Do you think they should be back where they have been at number one? What do you think?
I think the polls are just, you know, trying to set up for a marquee matchup later on. I do think that Kentucky has, you know, Georgia's, you know, I think they're just playing well. I think they understand what Georgia likes to do, and Kentucky does a good job of just taking it away. I really think, and I thought Kentucky was going to pull this out, but a play here, a play there.
They got very close.
Georgia ended up
very close.
Well, and Jason, there's a couple plays that I didn't really like, and me and Brad had discussed this, actually yesterday, was the fourth down call, 4th and 8 from midfield, and he punts, and I get where he was coming from, but to me, you just don't punt the ball back to the number one team in the country with 3 minutes to go, you take your chances or you don't. And then
But you got to understand this though. They were actually stopping the number one team in the country. They were actually stopping. So if he's damned if he do, damned if he don't. If he don't kick it and he loses on the down,
but that's
and gets
not
the ball,
really.
But that's not really the biggest thing.
That's not really what bothered me. The two that bothered me the most was the not going to the end zone before halftime with 9 seconds to go on a first down, and they come out and kick the field goal and give them the ball back with 5 seconds to go, and they could have ran one play.
Be honest though, Mark Stoops was playing for that field goal. That's how he's conservative.
But there is no coach in America. The fourth down punt, we can sit here and debate all day about what he should or shouldn't have. Some coaches will, some coaches won't. There's not a coach in America that wouldn't take a shot in the end zone with 9 seconds to go when you're at the 20-yard line and you're at first down. You've got plenty of time to run a play and still kick that field goal.
Well, and see here,
and
here,
still
Brad,
be up 6-3.
What's the worst thing you can do? Throw the ball out of the back of the end zone. Like it's
that you teach your quarterbacks to do that. You drop back if it's not open, you throw it out the back of the end zone. It's that simple. That play right there is the one that bothers me the most. And then 2 plays before the 4th and 8 punt, the 2nd and 8 play, I have a problem with. Like John said, we had been running the ball pretty well against Georgia's defense all night long, 170 yards on them. Okay. We had run the ball all night long. We were at the 48 on Georgia, their 48, and we were at 2nd and 8. All you have to do is run the ball twice and either get a first down, or then you're at 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, and then you have a different call. You might even trot the kicker out because he kicked a 55-yarder.
I'm going to go and say this, and this is probably, I wouldn't say a hot take, but it's something there's probably not going to be another team besides maybe Texas or Alabama that's going to hold Georgia like Kentucky did Saturday night.
I don't know if another team in the country will hold them to 13 points. I really don't.
I don't. I really don't.
Kentucky's defense is legit.
They're good.
And John, you said something about people. I want to end this with this on this topic. You said something about if people wanted to watch, grind it out, tough football. Well, do you know what the most watched game on Saturday was?
Kentucky and Georgia.
Kentucky and Georgia was the most watched college football game on Saturday.
Because Mindy was hoping Georgia would get it.
The game peaked at 9 million viewers Saturday night.
But let's be fair, Brad. That's probably Tennessee fans and everybody. What Georgia did it be?
I don't care who it was. That was the most watched game Saturday night was Kentucky and Georgia. I had to throw that in there. All right. So here at College SportsCast, we are not only talking about the big boys, but we are also going to do a little bit of love each week on the Group of Five. The Group of Five has a playoff spot, and there was 2 teams this week that I thought made some statements. Memphis went to Florida State and beat them 20-12. And then UNLV went to Kansas on Friday night and scored a late touchdown and beat Kansas on Friday night. And both of these teams are 3-0. And both teams, UNLV is actually ranked, I think, in the AP poll for the first time in, I don't know, years and years for football, UNLV, that I know of.
I'm going to say this.
They're 25th in the country. And I'm not so sure that Memphis shouldn't be ranked, to be honest.
I agree. What Barry Odom has done with UNLV
is amazing.
It's quite
amazing.
Remarkable, yes.
Honestly.
It was their second win over a Power 4 opponent. They beat Houston, which Houston's not a great team. We saw that early on the last 2 weeks. But how impressive is this? They go into Kansas, a Kansas team that
100% Coleman
has been like right on the cusp of, hitting it to get into these Big 12 championship games. Like last year, Kansas had some opportunities to be in the mix, and they go into Kansas and beat a really solid Lance Leopold's team. Like Barry Odom's got this team playing, man. Like
they do.
And they can score.
Memphis,
they got a really good defense.
Memphis takes one out on their old coach at FSU. I mean, both of these programs.
Fair, though, FSU is spiraling to the point to where they're going to need a new coach if things don't straighten.
I don't care if FSU is spiraling or not. They were 13-0 last year at the end of the regular season after the ACC championship game. And when you take what Memphis is and you take what FSU is, or what what it's always been, that's a big win for the Memphis Tigers.
It is. Let me ask you this real quick question on the FSU side of things. Are we looking at another Jimbo Fisher situation with quarterbacks?
I think right now the answer is yes. I think, but Jason, I got to ask you. You're close to that area down there, and you're not far from Memphis. I don't think. A little drive there. What's the buzz? What's hour and 45? Yeah, I know you're close to Memphis down there. What's the buzz this week down there after that win? In your area, around you, in the news, that kind of thing.
Revenge served on a platter. I think the number was 1.4 million to come down here and really put the nail in the coffin for the Florida State coach, man. Everybody's in Memphis excited. I've had a bunch of friends text and call and said, you see Memphis go down there and get revenge because, he left. He actually left Memphis, and then he took the job down there. And now he's, and like I said before, I think that he's opened up the door for Deion Sanders. I'm just saying it because there's no reason. First of all, there's no reason he should have picked that quarterback in the portal. He shouldn't have got that quarterback, man. He's made a lot of bad decisions, and I think his team is quitting on him. I think they don't believe in the quarterback in Florida State, and people in Memphis are very excited to get their revenge back on their old coach.
That's not what bothers me the most about FSU. What bothers me the most about this team right now is they've been manhandled by Georgia Tech, Boston College, and Memphis. And that is and your strength was supposed to be in your offense, your defense, which I will give them credit. Their defense played the best they played all year Saturday. They played a really good football game. But when your offensive line doesn't block, they have no running game. DJ Ungale, he's too decisive. He just when pressure gets on him, he don't know how to handle it. It's just a bad mixture. And then you add the fact that the offensive line is getting manhandled by these the group of four was Boston College, but now you got Memphis possibly moving into the group of five now with maybe them running to the Pac-12. That's a problem to me because this was supposed to have been the strength of their team.
Well, they're still in the group of five this year, and who knows what's going to happen. We do have some realignment going on. But for this season, these two teams, the way they are playing and the way they have opened the season, the first three games in, I think they have a chance to be there at the end of the season and maybe be able to pull that college football playoff spot here out of the group of five, be the highest ranked conference winner.
You know what that's going to help? we was talking about the Pac-12 last week where they're going to join all these teams together. You get Memphis and UNLV in that mix this year, and them head on over to the Pac-12. That's going to give them
help.
It's going to even give them more momentum.
It will for sure, absolutely. But great job by the Memphis Tigers and the UNLV running Rebels. And when I say that, I usually think basketball. Like I'm not, you know what I mean? Like it's hard for me to even picture football, to be quite honest with you. But Barry Odom has done an amazing job out there in a year and 3 games. That's all he's had. You know, so I mean, he's done an amazing job. Now we're going to get to a bad side here of things. Guys, what in the hell is going on in Florida?
Man, we've been talking about it.
The Gators are circling Ben Hill Griffin Stadium.
I mean, they certainly are swimming. They probably got a moat around Ben Griffin Stadium by now.
Man, it's funny, man. Y'all got to bring this up because I think they were talking about it at the beginning of the college season that, man, this could be a make or break year for both coaches. And if you're looking at it right now, it actually is shaping up to be like, for the first time in I don't know how long, Florida and Florida State could be open at the same time. Now think about that. Now think about that. You know,
let's talk about they got 2 big games this week. Okay. Like, so FSU is at home against California, who California just beat Auburn last week.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. And then you've got Florida that's going to Mississippi State. And Mississippi State just lost to Toledo at home.
Yeah.
That's a game that almost called him Harrison. I was thinking of the old Auburn coach. I almost called him his name. Anyways, Napier, that's a game that Napier absolutely cannot lose this weekend. If he loses to Mississippi State, he's over with at Florida. I think he's done. I think he's finished.
I'll even go as far as saying this, that as bad as Mississippi State has looked and as bad as Florida has looked, that's an absolute winnable game for both sides.
It is. I agree. But if Napier loses this game, I think he's done. Stick a fork in him.
I think they're done anyway. I think they both have to run the table and finish this. They have to run the table right now. They have to get hot right now. I mean, guys.
Well,
what are we saying?
I just mean when it's going to happen. I think it'll happen next Sunday if Napier gets beat.
I don't think that they'll pull. No, they're not going to pull the trigger on them.
I think they're going to wait till the end of the year.
They're going to pay him out and then get another coach in.
The standard is really high at Florida, and people don't.
Maybe Ed Orgeron might be the next internet coach.
The thing that really gets me is there's really no excuse for this, Brad. Napier, he signed one of the top recruiting classes in the nation, and with the way Florida football has always been the standard as one of the most dominant programs of all time, this should not be happening. I agree with you. He's won 1 game. Listen to this. Listen to this stat. This will blow your mind. He's won 1 game in his last 8 at the University of Florida.
He's lost 7 games in a row against FBS competition. Napier has. 7 in a row, guys.
Get it together.
Against FBS competition.
Y'all do know, and I'm glad you brought up that stat. Having the top recruiting class doesn't mean the same thing as it once was. Signing guys.
I mean, it helps, but you got to be able to coach them up.
Well, and you got to
think about it now. Now you're really just pulling guys from other teams now. That's all that they're doing. The thing, Brad, that you didn't want to happen in college football is really happening. You see what I'm saying? They are
Yeah.
just, hey, guys are just going for the money. It's
Yeah.
all about the money. So
it's like the wild. Brad always says it during basketball. It's the wild, wild west.
Wild,
It's
wild
the wild,
west.
wild west. Because you think
Yeah.
about it. I mean, there's no way you would say Florida State would lose to Memphis. There's no way
with the
Florida
talent on that roster.
will be losing. Like showing up.
Yeah.
They'll always got Florida through the door. It's like you would expect them to lose the Florida versus Florida game. Florida State
All
versus
right.
Florida.
So I asked the question about Napier and what happens if he loses this weekend. Just how bad is it going to get down in Tallahassee if California Bears come into Doak Campbell and beat them this weekend? And Florida State starts 0-4.
I know one thing. Twitter might have an erupt, or X rather, might have an eruption.
Golly, man. You talking about those are some dumpster fires going on in Florida right now. Now,
and this used to not be the case.
I said and talked about Florida, okay? But there is one school down there that seems to be handling their business. And Cam Ward in Miami, I mean, they seem to be handling their business so far. They beat the hell out of Ball State over the weekend. I think that's who they played. Mac School, which is an FBS school. And my thing is this, John, are they the heavy favorites here to win the ACC, or is Clemson still in the picture?
I think they got to be. I think them and Clemson are probably the top two. Cam Ward is putting his name into the Heisman race. He put that in there when he had the kind of performance he had at the Swamp. He just literally all day Saturday against Ball State, he dissected that defense all night long. And he did that against Florida. And I think they've scored the most points in school history through the first 3 games. Who would have thought that the Florida Gators and FSU would be on the back burner, and that we would be talking about the Miami Hurricanes, which in a Miami Hurricane team that has not lived up to expectations the last 3 to 4 years. And now they're starting to play.
How it goes, John, right? It goes in cycles. For so long, the U has always either been up or down, and they've been down here lately.
Yeah, but college football kind of comes back to the same thing. At some point, if you're going to be elite, you got to have a quarterback.
Man, I was just about to say that. Like, he has played himself into the Heisman consideration, in my opinion. You have to mention him.
And I'm going to say this to go as far as saying this, and Florida State fans might not want to hear this, so I button your hatchet and button your ears. But Miami might get in the college football playoff.
I mean, if they win the ACC, they will. I don't think Clemson is ready for him.
You just said it, Brad. It's just like any other sport. Your top guy in any sport has to be the leader of the team, and they got to believe in your core, especially football. Man, those guys believe in him. And when you have a quarterback that's playing the way he's playing, your whole team.
I said it before the season started that Cam Ward was that difference maker, and that he was going to make Miami good.
Man.
And people was writing off. You can ask Brad. What was it? First few years, they was writing Mario Cristobal off. They was saying he ain't the greatest coach, and he didn't do this.
And he wasn't last year. I mean, honestly, at Miami.
Really
but when you add a top quarterback in college football, it makes that kind of a difference.
It changes things.
It makes that kind of a difference.
But you got to have an offensive line to be able to have that quarterback to do what he wants to do, and I think Miami's got that with
true, very, very true, very, very true.
All right, guys, we're going to get to a topic that not a lot of people will probably want to touch, but honestly, just how bad is officiating in college football? Because this past weekend, you can count just play after play after play in 4, 5, 8 games that was just horrendous.
I'll give you 3 or 4 of mine. There was a couple in the LSU South Carolina game. That whole game was poorly officiated from scratch, from the first quarter on the way through the fourth. Then you had the Florida game. Was it the guy got called for targeting because he hit him in the side? Was it the side, or was that his stump something?
It was basically you talking about the butt targeting. Basically, that's what it was.
Targeting. And then you had the one with Georgia where he put him into the ground, which I get they're trying to protect the quarterback, but what does a defensive guy supposed to do in that situation, Jason? Like just put him to the ground like flag football? Like what's he supposed to do? Like
and this is exactly what like we're teaching. I just let my son's football practice. He's 10, and what he does around the house, at any time he will come and just try to tackle me. And think about this: I'm telling a 10-year-old to just wrap up and hold. That's all they're gonna be able to do. To either wrap and just hold and don't throw them to the ground, wrap and hold. They just pick them up.
Yeah, but they do. So like in the Georgia Kentucky game, there's a few calls and that was just so. One of them, they ripped a helmet off with a face mask, and there was no call. I mean, the helmet come flying completely off. I don't know how you can say I didn't see that. You know what I mean? Like that's if it was a play where it was just a little jerk, on a face mask. But when you rip the helmet plumb off and it goes flying 10 yards in the air, I mean, there's not much room for you to say, well, we just didn't see that. That's one thing. There was the called back pick six, and there was a couple of them in the LSU South Carolina game. Like you said, there was the butt targeting that was just atrocious. I mean, how do we fix this? Because a lot of this was SEC officiating.
Here's what I think needs to happen. And Josh Pate brought up a really good point the other day in his little rant. He was talking about how the NCAA needs to hire full-time officials and create national standards for rules and their interpretation. Like, maybe a centralized replay center where critical calls can be reviewed and correct. Because that's what's going to help this.
Well, I mean, isn't there supposed to be officials watching the game and telling them when plays? I mean, that's already supposed to be happening.
Well, and here's what really gets me is the fans, the coaches, and even the players deserve a game that's officiated for accuracy and integrity.
What's up, Jason?
I don't think there's any integrity anymore.
Gary, Clyde, I'm glad you guys are all here. So,
and I'm going to go as far as even say this one, and I might get whipped on this one, Jason, but I felt like they was calls in that LSU game, the South Carolina LSU game, that refs put something under the table for that game to be determined. That's how.
I mean, they definitely helped LSU win. That's for sure. 100%.
There was some calls in that game where I'm thinking, how is this call that call, or how is that call this call? And even the targeting penalty, in which I get the overturn with the pick six, but can you really tell that his hand was on the ball?
Or if it wasn't, or if it was. And when the Kentucky play, when the play was called a touchdown on the field, you have to have significant video evidence to overturn it.
And I'm going to say this.
That's where I'm at. And then there was a helmet-to-helmet targeting hit to Kentucky's running back right before halftime on that drive that wasn't called, that they were like, well, he hit his face mask.
Wasn't even looked at.
It wasn't even looked at. Like the people in the SEC officials that are supposed to be watching and all that, where are they at is what I want to know.
I think you're reiterating like what goes on in the NFL now.
Are they asleep? Because I mean,
yeah, they're not watching the games like they're watching in the NFL now. They're not in New York watching all the games at once to dissect these plays. But you're right, man. The college game it's too much riding on these games from every angle, right? And so we do need someone watching. And you're right, Brad. Someone should be watching. They
they're
might be
supposed
eating
to be. That's
popcorn.
my
They,
that's my
that's what I'm saying.
gripe.
They might be eating popcorn, Brad, because you,
I
you
mean,
can't afford
are
for
they taking
games
a
to be,
piss break or
man.
I mean,
You're right.
like where are these people is what I want to know, because there's supposed to be officials watching these games and calling in if there is something that needs to be reviewed.
I'm gonna go a step further, and Jason probably can vouch with me because he's got kids. You can't even get officials nowadays into the hostile circuit in the grade level because of the pay, the travel, fans. Some of the fans
Well,
are
now, SEC officials are a little different. They're paid pretty good to do these
I get
games.
that, but I'm saying even some in hospitals had to quit because of the people going after them, and in which
It's crazy now. Especially youth league, these officials, man, because hey,
which don't get me wrong. I mean, I understand your kid plays, Jason, and you love your child. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing like having the warm embrace of having a child. But these kids are not LeBron James and Michael Jordan. And some parents take it too far with what's happening in the day-to-day games. And they act like it's the NFL. And they're just kids playing football.
I know exactly what you're saying. And I think you have to keep in perspective that these college officials are getting paid a lot of money, man.
They get paid a lot of money. The college officials do.
They're getting paid a lot of money to take the ridicule. They're living out a suitcase week in and week out, making a lot of money and getting some free exercise.
Don't get me started on Mark Curls. Mark Curls cost us the Florida game.
Yeah, but see, here's my deal. It's hard to see everything on the field. You are going to miss some. But the replay people, the officials, are supposed to be able to watch the game and call in. So when they're showing replays of a helmet-to-helmet hit, then all you do is you pick up the phone and you say, okay, you need to review this play. It's that simple.
I'm going to go and say this, and Brad mentioned this the other day to me, and I know Georgia fans are probably going to give me slack for this, but if Georgia had made that play, I guarantee you they would have never overturned that call. That would have been a touchdown.
Oh, the touchdown. I don't think so either. I mean, the overturning of it is the issue. It's not the actual play. If it had been called a non-touchdown and they were reviewing it and said it wasn't a touchdown, that's one thing, but that's not what happened.
I love Brad's rants.
I am going to get to one more little rant here.
Let Brad have this one. I'm going to
tell you guys right now, this is absolutely insane to me. Josh Heupel, what in the hell are you doing against the worst FBS team in the country? And you are up 35-0 or 30-something-0 in the first half, maybe the first quarter. I'm not somewhere right in that range. And you're lining up for an onside kick and beat this team 71-0. What kind of I've watched football, Jason, my entire life. There ain't no telling how many games I have watched my entire life. I have never heard of such shit in all my life. I have never seen a coach that is killing another team like that scoring touchdowns left and right, and your ass lines up for an onside kick?
Man,
listen, that's insane. And that kind of shit has to stop, honestly.
well, style points. That's all I can say. Style points. You want to get the he wants to get the highest ranking that Tennessee can get to make sure that they're in his top 12. That's all I can say. What's crazier?
Man,
I'm gonna say this, Brad.
Listen,
I'm gonna say this.
you
Hold on, Brad.
You gotta have a little bit of class.
You're right, but what's crazier? What about Colorado? You know how I am about the Colorado. Colorado, they're up. They go for a bomb.
Don't get me started on Colorado, okay?
Man, they go for a bomb, and I might be right. I might be with you with Colorado now because I'm starting to see some things like
And then I was told by somebody in Tennessee media, they had mentioned something that was the kicker's doing, that it was his signal. It wasn't on Josh Heupel. It was the kicker's signal. That he saw something and the kicker wanted to do the onside kick.
Man, I have never seen that. And I have watched thousands of football games in my life. I have never, ever seen a guy that is just demolishing another team and score a touchdown and trot out and do an onside kick and get the damn ball back. Just showboating. That's the most. I don't know. That's insane if you ask me. Just absolutely insane. I've never seen it, never heard of it in my entire life until this past weekend with Tennessee and Josh Heupel. What in the hell is all I got to say? Sorry.
Man,
I got to go somewhere with it. All right. Before we get to Mindy, because Mindy is here and she is waiting on us here. But before we get to Mindy, Jason, I got to ask you, these rumors with Lane Kiffin, I don't think, here's my thing. We're 3 weeks. This is week 3 into a season that Ole Miss and Kiffin has college football playoff implications, championship. They're trying to win a championship. This has got to be put to bed pretty quick, doesn't it, Jason?
I mean, you if you remember, I think this happened a couple years ago with Auburn. They were trying to say that Kiffin to Auburn was a thing, but I mean, think about it. His quarterback's about to leave.
Yeah, but that was a little later in the season. This is week 3 of a season where they're hoping for a championship.
And what wasn't we just talking about Florida and Florida State earlier? So one more loss for either team is going to put the nail in the coffin and get the rumors flying. Everybody's going to start getting raised.
You're down there. You're an former Ole Miss player, basketball, not football, but you're there. I mean, you're alumni and everything else. So my thing is this early in the season, doesn't Kiffin have to come out and put that shit to bed pretty quick?
I mean, even if he says, "Hey, I'm fine here at Ole Miss," there's still going to be rumors. You see what I'm saying? So it's best and just keep the blinders on.
And people don't understand about Kiffin.
Winning always brings expectations and rumors. Because if he's winning, now it's his time. Oh, somebody's going to throw money. It's not like he's right. Saving. You got to look at his track record, though. His track record.
You are completely right.
Here's another thing.
Tennessee, he's been everywhere. So the rumors are just going to be rumors because he has.
You're completely right. If he can keep the team together without them going off and worrying about rumors and stuff like that. If we're being
honest, he's been through this before. He does this on social media. As Jace, he trolls people. He plays along.
I know how he is on. So I follow him. I know how he is. He's actually a great follow. to be honest with you.
Yeah, he
Kiffin
trolls
is.
and he posts his videos and he posts his pictures of where he's going.
My thing is this: if you want your team to be up every single week to play for a championship, to go out there and fight for you for a championship, you've got to keep them guys in some kind of a bubble or something to know that he is engaged and in. This is week 3. We're not talking about week 10 or 11 or 12 here. Like, there's still a lot of season to go.
I get what you're saying. Keep their mind right and don't keep them separated from what their position is at hand. I get what you're saying, but at the same time,
that's what I'm saying.
It's not going to stop from the rumors from swirling. And even if Kiffin does come out and say something, Jason knows. Even if he does come out and say something, it's still going to continue because that's just how the media is nowadays. That's how they make stories. That's how they get clicks.
Y'all do know any news right now is good news in the social media era. Anything to keep the attention on Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin is gonna love it. Man, when I seen him pull up in a Rolls Royce and pick up a top recruit and made sure the guy videotaped it and put it online, I knew right then, man, he's playing the game. That's why the Nick Sabans of the world, the great coaches, they're not gonna play that game. They're not. This game has gotten out of hand. Guess
what? I know you're getting ready to leave. Jason's got to leave at 9, but I just wanted to kind of tell him, the Ole Miss Rebels basketball team's going to be a sleeper this year.
Hey, listen, don't jinx nothing. We gonna stick with football. I hadn't decided which game.
You stay with football for a little while.
Man,
you got to be staying with football.
Either I'm gonna go to that Georgia game or that Oklahoma game. But I got to catch a game this year, and I definitely would be down there more this year, watching the basketball games as well too. And so this is the year I'll be back. So people gonna love me back in Auckland. I've been, but I don't really just get a chance to go to the games and actually hang out because I have to go and leave. So now I'm gonna make a weekend out of it. I'm gonna sneak in town and show up at some games and see what's going on. And
I had to get to this. I had to get to this Ole Miss topic before Jason left.
Yeah,
because I know he normally leaves at 9:00 here on the Big Fuss show. So I had to get to this Ole Miss topic before Mindy comes on here for our ace in the hole. But I just had to get to it real quick. And Jason, I appreciate you being on, man. And chatting with us here and having a little bit of fun here, College SportsCast.
It's all love, man. Love you guys, man.
Jason's my dude, man.
Man,
all right, man.
I call and check on him pretty often, don't I, Jason?
Man, I appreciate it.
Get your kids to bed and all that good stuff, and have a good night, man.
All right, big dog.
All right, man. We'll see you next week.
Have a good one, man.
All right, guys.
That's my brother.
Jason,
that's my brother.
Jason is leaving, and we are bringing Mindy on. So Mindy is here with us, and we are going to bring her on for Ace in the Hole.
Ace in the Hole.
It's time now for Ace in the Hole with Lady Luck, Mindy.
All right, Mindy, what is up? You've been there for a few minutes. I'm sorry you were waiting there, but I had to get to my Ole Miss topic there
when you're
with
with celebrities. You hang out in the green room.
And you get your own presentation and intro. Like you're a celebrity around here.
Right. I feel pretty special. I'm just saying.
That's good. Well, so Mindy was with us last week. For the first time, she was with us last week. And she is here to help us kind of do a little bit of a betting part here to our show. And she did pretty well last week.
Yeah.
I don't know if you kept up with your picks or not.
Of course.
Last week. but you did pretty good last
Mindy?
week.
Don't you hate it, Mindy? You kicked the can on Georgia game.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those like,
Well, so
you know,
I
there's
was
only
going to
one out
get
of
to
many.
that. I was going to get to that. You know, she knows I'm a Kentucky fan. She knows you're a Kentucky fan. So, but I definitely was going to
you
get
guys
to
were
that.
pretty pumped about it, right? It was a good showing.
How about them Cornhuskers?
It was a good showing.
They're actually playing really good right now, the Cornhuskers. Right?
They are. That's my team, the Huskers.
Yep. So last week here at College Sportscast, Mindy come on for her first show, and she made her 3 picks, and then she picked 2 upsets for the week for me. So she did 5 in total, and she hit 4 of the 5. So if you listen to her and bet for the week, she hit 4 of the 5 picks. You would be up in cash, I'm quite sure, if you bet here with Mindy. She's our Lady Luck, and we're going to try it out again this week and see where she takes us this week and what games she is looking at for week 4 of college football. So Mindy is from OG Cappers, and we appreciate you being here, Mindy.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, I was pretty happy with how the weeks have gone so far. So early on, you know, we kind of look at things a little bit differently, right? We can't really do anything too much stat wise. We're collecting those. So, you know, week 3, week 4, we're going to start hitting our stride when we can actually compare data. Otherwise, right now we look at things like, you know, coaching, offensive and defensive efficiencies. So we look at things a little bit differently when it comes down to the weeks, or a lot of times you just kind of sometimes bet the number. That's what we're looking at. So we're going to go ahead and start with my team. I'm going to give you a game here on Friday coming up. So if you need something to do on Friday,
that was last week's pick.
Illinois versus Nebraska. That's what we're going to start with today.
Okay. All Nebraska, right. Huh?
Yeah. So it's one of those, like, so far, you know, you talked about Nebraska's off to a hot start. They have been covering the number in each of their first 2. Rayola, total stud so far, playing versus kind of weak competition, right? But 670 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. Altmaier's no slouch himself. They're getting it done. But when it comes down to it, Illinois overall only averaging about 3 yards a carry. I just don't think that's going to be enough here versus my Husker team. Also looking for a low scorer in this game. So I'm going to go ahead and give you 2 on this one. We're going to go under the 42.5. Unfortunately, that number's already come down, right? It started at 46.5. We're already looking at 42. So we've lost a little bit of value in there, but I still think we're okay. Give Nebraska like a 65% chance of winning this game. And it's been the same thing. Nebraska jumped out as minus 9.5 favorites. Now the line has been brought down to -7 for Nebraska. So that's where I'm going to take it. I'm going to lay the touchdown here, -7. And those folks can have their +9 out there on Illinois. Maybe we both hit. That's a good number out there.
All right, so we got 2 on the so we got 2 on the same game here. So you can bet that if you want and kind of put those together. Or you can
a lot of
bet
times too, right? What you can do is do something with a little bit of a teaser. Sometimes that works out too. You know, just because these numbers have been brought down a little bit, you could go ahead and play it like a 6 or 7 point teaser. So move that line to Nebraska on the money line and looking at something like under 49.5.
Right. Yeah, I did that last week on one. It didn't work out because Oregon State was terrible, but outside of that, everything was great. Oregon State, they went to sleep last week and didn't wake up, I don't think, after halftime.
Yeah, there was tons of people out there on Oregon State just because Oregon's been totally underperforming so far.
Some extra points, and it still didn't hit.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Yeah. All right. So that's one game. What is another one that you have for us here this week?
All right. Let's go to Arkansas versus Auburn. How does that one sound?
Okay. Sounds good to me.
All right. All right.
Arkansas and Auburn. What's the line on that one tonight?
All right. So this is Auburn at home -3. I will be going ahead and being on Auburn at home. It is one of those that you can lay the money line if you want to. It's something like minus 150. Don't have to worry about the points. But in this instance, I think it's a pretty big mismatch. So I talked about those things on offensive and defensive efficiencies, right? If we take a look at Auburn, they're 7th in the nation going up against Arkansas, that is 25th. And these are going to be combined offensive and defensive efficiencies. But it's one that Auburn totally whooped up on a New Mexico team. And they did that all in the second half. So, I mean, basically it was Auburn getting better and better and better. And you had an Arkansas team that totally did the opposite. It started hot and got worse and worse and worse as that game went through. Usually that means a lot of carryover that's for the next game. In the defense, I think with Auburn, it's just going to go ahead and take it to them. It's going to be, I think, a mismatch, but it's all going to happen second half. I like Auburn here, -3.
And to go off what you
All right,
said, I
take the Tigers at home.
I kind of like Auburn just because of their new quarterback position with Hank Brown. I think Hank is a really good quarterback, and I think he's the better option than Peyton Thorne was. And I think you saw that a little bit Saturday night against New Mexico in the second half. They put them on in the second half. And Arkansas is too up and down. You know, they had the game against Oklahoma State last week, and then they kind of struggled down 17-3 to UAB. Like, you can't do that against the Auburn team on the road because you'll get blowed out.
You'll get smoked. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Mindy, do you have another one before I get to the upset, or is that
I do. This one here I really, really like. And I'm giving you this one because it's a late night Saturday. So after you're drinking all day and you want something to do and you got nothing going on, let's go ahead and wager on some late night Mountain West.
Ooh,
we
got some Mountain West after dark here.
That's right. That is way after dark where you guys are. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at Fresno State versus New Mexico. We're going to be all over Fresno State. We got to lay a big number, but it's not going to matter. We got to lay 15.5 with Fresno State. These guys have basically a 92% shot of winning. I have them winning by 3 touchdowns. So that gives us even, a little bit of 6 points of variance, almost a touchdown variance.
Right.
But it's one of those, like, if you take a look at where everyone's at, Fresno State right now, 48th in offensive and defensive efficiency, when you have a New Mexico team sitting at 131, that is a huge, huge, huge mismatch. This New Mexico team has allowed 45, 61, and 35. This might be another one that's going to reach the 60s.
I don't really think
let's take Fresno State
team. Yeah, I don't think this New Mexico team is all that great, to be honest with you. They're pretty far down the list. And Fresno State, while maybe not the top of the Mountain West, they still are up there pretty good. I mean, they still have a good team.
I was going to get my dog. Come here, Whitney.
All right.
She wants to be on camera.
Got a puppy dog here.
Yeah, this is Whitney.
All
Whitney
right.
Houston. Yeah.
Whitney Houston. Okay.
This is Whitney Houston. She is really small, but she barks really loud.
Can she sing? Can she sing? That's what I want.
She really does. Mostly at nighttime, yes, when I'm trying to sleep. She's out with getting the raccoons.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you have an upset pick for us this week? I know you got 2 of them last week.
I know, but it's one of these, like, you guys are gonna, not like it so much. It's a little bitty upset, but upset's an upset. That's kind of how I see it. And there's a lot of games I don't really like, this week, but it's going to be Minnesota over Iowa. That's going to be my upset. So it's Minnesota winning outright. They're right now getting plus, a field goal. So they're like +3. Again, I don't know why Minnesota at home is not the favorite in this game. It comes down to those numbers again. Minnesota 18th on offensive and defensive efficiency. Iowa sitting at 42. Iowa did score last week and went over the total. That was one of our picks. But it's going to be a different ball game here versus Minnesota under the lights.
That one's kind of interesting to me, and that game is a little interesting to me. I was looking at the betting lines earlier today, And that line was kind of interesting to me there on that game as well. So
there's a few betting lines this week that's kind of got me scratching my head a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
There's just a few.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot that I think Vegas did a really good job. They're right on the number. And that was one of those that I was going to talk to you about next.
So you do have another one?
I do, but it's going to be one of the no plays. Okay, so it's not very exciting, but it's your Kentucky team versus Ohio. Okay, so right now I have this one modeled out. Kentucky beating Ohio by 20.27 points. The line on this one is minus 19.5. That's what I said. A lot of these, I think Vegas is right on the number this week.
Right on the money. Yeah.
This is one of those, like it would be a no play. But Kentucky right now, 94th in the nation versus Ohio, 84th in the nation. I think it's going to be interesting. But we look for this one to be, Kentucky winning right on the number. Let's just go for that.
So quick question.
You think it's right on the number, huh?
Yeah. I mean, so I have Kentucky. I'm going to say they would pull out the points because I have them winning by 20.27 and they give 19.5. So I have them covering by like 1.
So what's your lock of the week? Is that pretty much your lock of the week? Or?
My lock of the week is going to be Auburn. That's my lock of the week.
Maybe
I should have done this in a different order. I'll give you 3, and then next time I'll be ready for the upset and the lock. How about that?
All right. I mean, you can just say your lock as you're going through if you want. That's fine. We don't have to do it at the end.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, we don't have to do it.
Auburn's
at
my
the
lock.
end,
That's
but
I like that one. I like that one a lot.
The most. Okay, you like that one the most.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so let's see. Was that 5?
It's 4.5.
That's 6 because there's 2.
4.5. Well, yeah, because I gave you 2 on the Huskers. That's right.
Yeah, there was 2. There was 2 on the Nebraska one. Yeah. So,
2 on the Nebraska one. Auburn, Fresno State, Minnesota.
And then kind of a no play on Kentucky.
And then a no play. But I had to feel like I had to give you, my thoughts on your Kentucky team.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. We appreciate that here because there is Kentucky fans that come on the show and that kind of stuff. So, and they are watching. I do have some friends that are bettors. So they're probably on here watching. So I do appreciate that you would do that as well. So, yeah. So, Mindy, we appreciate it. It's fun to have you on. We're glad you're doing this for us on Tuesday nights.
I love Mindy. Mindy's the best.
Thank you. I like it.
Yeah. All right. And hopefully we'll have some good news to report this coming week. And you've done great again. And be our Lady Luck.
Let's hope so.
All right, Mindy. Have a good night.
All right. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. As soon as I get it off. I'm like, stop.
All right, guys. That was Mindy from OG Cappers, and she is coming on with us on Tuesday nights to do a little segment called Ace in the Hole for us. And hopefully she'll be our Lady Luck. So she went 4. Her picks last week, I had them up. I was going to do this at the end, and I don't know why I clicked it then. But her picks last week were this. She picked Georgia as her lock, so she did miss that one. But the Indiana-Troy game, she had the over, and she had or the Iowa-Troy game, she had the over, and then the Indiana, she took the -3, which won. And then her upsets were Memphis to -6 or the plus 6.5, which won. And then she picked Pittsburgh at home in the backyard brawl, and they pulled it out and covered the spread. So she went 4 of 5 last week. So we appreciate her being on and appreciate her coming on and doing this because, like I said, I do have friends that are bettors and all that. So, all right, John, we're going to kind of run through a couple of more real quick, and then we're going to close this show out. Wisconsin and Fickle. It doesn't look good, man. Is he going to be able to, Fickle's kind of an offensive mind and run more like wide open offense stuff. And Wisconsin's always been a bruising, pound the ball team. It don't seem like it's working as a fit.
Mm-hmm. And now that Tyler Van Dyke is out, I think that changes a lot of things too with his quarterback play. So I don't expect this Wisconsin team to really do much this year. But I think they need to at least give him another year.
Thank you, Clyde.
To see where this goes, because Fickle did turn Cincinnati around. And to be honest, Cincinnati's probably in that same category with Wisconsin when it comes to talent and recruiting and whatnot. And I think you just got to give him time to figure things out, which this
I'm
is
just worried about the fit. Because
the fit.
Wisconsin, the fans and everything, they expect that ground and pound ball.
I get what you're saying. I don't think he's been able to show that. The last couple of years, it's just not been there. And
I mean, this is only year 2, but it just doesn't seem like a good fit to me. But we'll see. I mean, now the quarterback got hurt. You got so they're going to have to be going to a backup. I don't know. Like they might be in trouble.
Their schedule don't get no easier either. So it's going to get tough.
All right, I got to ask you about this. Missouri comes back. They were down 14-3 against Boston College. They did come back and win 27-21 at home against Boston College, who was ranked 24th. Just beat FSU. I think Boston College is an improved team. And we talked about, their coach first year and what a job Bill O'Brien's doing there and everything. But I got to ask you, after watching Missouri the last couple of weeks, do you struggle thinking that they're a top 10 team?
Not exactly.
I'm starting to question whether however, their schedule is pretty easy, but I just don't feel like they are playing at a top-notch level yet.
No, not yet. They did beat Buffalo, and they kind of tore down Murray State, but that was FCS. But this was their first really true test at home, and to be fair, Boston College has improved. Bill O'Brien has improved that team. And I don't think.
And they get Vandy this week, so we don't know for sure what that's gonna prove either.
To me, I think their test is going to come when they go to Alabama, to see where they are offensively, defensively.
They get Oklahoma at home,
and I still think they got one of the best receivers in the country in Luther Burden. I mean, they got Theo Wees, they got.
And I thought Brady Cook was going to be a star this year, but he's not even really on the radar right now.
He's not really. I mean, they haven't really played anybody. I mean, it's just been two not so good teams and a third improved team that really. I mean, if you base it off beating Florida State, that's not saying much because Florida State's not real good. I mean, but they did compete with them. With Missouri on the road, which it's tough to play in Columbia. So
I just had to bring it up. I still have them in my top 12 for the college football playoff rankings.
I just don't think we'll see much from Missouri until they start playing Alabama and Oklahoma and the teams that they do have to face on the schedule. Because if you don't go 10-2 out of the schedule, then something's wrong because the schedule sets up for it. So.
For sure. I agree with that. Like I said, they play Vandy this week. I don't think we're really going to see – I mean, Vandy will probably play up and play a little better. They usually do in games like this. So I don't think we'll see a blow.
especially after losing to Georgia State. I mean, that's tough.
I mean, Missouri's going to win the game. I'm almost certain, but the spread's like 21, and I'm not sure. It might be a 17-point game or something. I'm just not sure on the spread just yet. But it's only Tuesday, so. All right. I'm going to wrap the show up with a kind of a look in at the new Pac-12. And I heard some news or saw some news right before we come on. And I want maybe 45 minutes before the show started. And I wanted to kind of drop it here on the show before we end the show tonight. And so I'm hearing that the Pac-12 is moving fairly quickly and that Memphis and Tulane are two more teams in a second phase that could be added as early as late this week to this new Pac-12, that they are being talked to already, and that Memphis and Tulane are two of the teams. UNLV is a possibility on this one, but I think they're talking more to the AAC teams. And I am hearing that Memphis and Tulane are the top two. What do you think about that, John? I know that there's been rumors about UTSA. But they haven't started very well.
I think it changes everything because now that you've got Memphis and Tulane in there, you've also got Oregon State, you've got Boise State, a power in football from their days with the Mountain West and such. So
Washington State just beat Washington this week.
You got Washington State. They beat Washington, which was stupid. That was on my pick. I made that pick. I thought. And then Washington State come out and just surprised me Saturday. I didn't know.
Both of those games surprised me. Oregon State not playing and Washington State playing to win.
Oregon State stayed at the house. They stayed in the dorm room Saturday.
Especially the second half. They just fell asleep in the locker room, I think, at halftime.
Yeah. And I think it adds to the dynamic. You got Memphis in there. You get Tulane in there. You get Oregon State in there. You get Boise. I think it could sort of be like it was with the Pac-12 original, with UCLA and all
that. When it was the Pac-8, yeah.
I think that could maybe make a difference, and there'll be.
I don't know. From what I'm hearing, they're not going to be done with that, but I'm hearing they are moving pretty quickly here with Memphis and Tulane, and there could be another team in with this. But for sure, they know Memphis and Tulane out of the AAC here. If that happens by the end of this week, and I wanted to bring it up tonight because we're not doing another show until Friday. So I wanted to make sure that I put this out here tonight since I saw it fairly right before the show started. But that would make a big difference, I think. I mean, you're putting together, the top, the best of, the Mountain West, the best of the AAC, and you add Oregon State and Washington State to it, you're putting together a pretty decent little conference there.
You are. You're putting a real good conference together.
Yeah, especially on the football front. Now,
I kind of wanted to go, and you was mentioned on the buzzer, some games to look at this week.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to give you about 3 or 4 of mine, and we can go on to. She had mentioned her 3. I think you got to look at NC State and Clemson. Clemson's on the road. Clemson's a 20-point favorite, which NC State has had their house of horrors playing against Clemson. They've not really, they've struggled against Clemson at times. That's a 12 o'clock game. Then you got USC and Michigan on CBS. Michigan is a 6-point favorite.
Let's hope, Clyde.
or no, USC is a 6-point favorite at home or in the Big House. That's a big game for both teams, I think. If Michigan loses that game, it's just going to be another year for Michigan. It's not going to be the
Michigan. They could have a snowball effect here if they lose that game at home. That'd be 2 at home, back to back.
Then you got Georgia Tech playing on the road at Louisville. Louisville's only a 10.5-point favorite. I think that could be a really good game. You got Utah and Oklahoma State. Cam Rising versus Allen.
The game.
Bowman.
That's the game I'm looking forward to right there.
That's going to be 2 fifth-year seniors, 6-year senior quarterbacks?
No, 2 seventh-year seniors. They're both in their 7th year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you've got Kansas State at BYU. That will be a really fun game after dark. It's in Provo. That's a kind of a trap game really for Kansas State. The reason I say that is because they play Oklahoma State next week, and this could be one of those games where they could just kind of slip and lose. And then you got the big game. Josh Heupel going back to Oklahoma to face the Oklahoma Sooners.
100% agree. 170 yards against Georgia the other night.
And Clyde, if we don't beat I started to say if we beat Ohio. I started to say if we don't beat Ohio, then we need to just pack it up for the rest of the season because
no. I want to see 40+ points.
You talking about Ole Miss, yeah. More like a get right game, more or less. But those are some of the games that I was really looking at because there's not like the slate from now.
It's going to be kind of hard. I usually pick 12 games. But I might do 10 or 11 this week because I was looking at it. We'll see.
There's just not a lot. But not great.
There's not a bunch of games.
The only great game is Oklahoma and Tennessee, I think, and we'll find out. Oklahoma.
I actually like the Utah Oklahoma State game. I'm looking forward to that one. Of course, I do
too.
I'm a Bad Moon Rising fan, so
yeah.
And I have been for the last 3 years. John can abide to that. We've been doing this, and for 3 years I've talked about Cam Rising.
Well, and let's be honest, Friday night's probably one of the biggest games that's not on Saturday. Nebraska and Illinois. So that should be
the Illinois-Nebraska game on Friday night would be a good game to watch as well.
Yeah, it'd be a fun game to watch. So, but it's been fun.
All right, so Home Field Apparel, go and check them out. They cover vintage. They have vintage collegiate apparel, and they have really cool stuff. Over 180 teams. You can use our code CSCast for 15% off if you are a first-time buyer. I do want to get that in. We are also on the Real Fresh channel, and I want to get that in down at the bottom. That is on the bottom of the screen there for you now. The Real Fresh channel is on College SportsCast now as well. So, but I want to have him talk a little bit about his channel.
You need new entertainment. You need full-length content. You need the Real Fresh channel. Hey, I'm Health Fresh from the Real Fresh channel. Subscribe today on YouTube. We have new content. We are a network of podcasters putting out new stuff every single day. Whether you need sports, pro or college, whether you need comedies, whether you need pop culture, whether you need wrestling. We've got so much content on there. Gaming. Check it out. Live, not live. We've got it all. The Real Fresh channel. Subscribe today.
All right, check out Howie on YouTube, and you can also see him on College SportsCast Facebook page with his Fresh Takes podcast. Right now, they're doing NFL picks each week on Tuesday nights.
My NFL
and then
got destroyed this weekend.
And then at the bottom, you can follow us on College SportsCast on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Then Brad, our X is on the screen, Brad CS Cast and JH Spores, and then go to greenvillesportsmedia.com.
I'm just going to be honest with you. When you're a Cowboys fan and a Kentucky fan, it's pure torture.
All right, guys, we are going to wrap this up. This has been College Sportscast, the Big Fuss Show. Hope you guys have a great week, and we will see you Friday night for our game day pick.